Welcome to partialarc.com. Don't do that.
Do you want to hear a story?
I'm not letting go.
Are you ready for this?
Follow your heart. I'm going in. This is
Blockbuster Punch-Up. Welcome to Blockbuster Punch-Up. This is episode 17. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and I'm joined by my co-host and film enthusiast, Todd G. Levin.
Yes.
We're only communicating through hums this episode.
We're just repeating hums today.
It's a new thing we're doing.
Trying it out. I
Also
don't think it's working very well.
keeps us safe from the sky creatures.
Speaking of sky creatures and
Yes.
things having to do with the sky.
Guys, this episode we're talking about Skyfall. Now, the reason we're talking about Skyfall is recently the new teaser for Spectre, the new James Bond movie, just came out, and
Ooh, yeah.
everybody's abuzz about that Spectre.
Yeah, so
and
we're trying
how
to capitalize on
We're trying
that.
to capitalize on it because we have no souls. So Skyfall.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Okay.
And as we do at the beginning of each episode, how we talk about Skyfall is with a nice little recap.
You got it. We open on Bond in pursuit of a baddie named Patrice, who's just stolen the knock list from Mission Impossible, which contains all of the covers of identities for all the secret agents in both universes.
Oh my god!
Bond is accidentally shot by a mysterious but familiar female character who shall remain nameless.
Yes.
Who's told by M to take the bloody shot. And Bond is shot. And with Bond out of the picture, oh, just kidding!
No, he's alive.
Bond is alive and well and fucking on a remote island somewhere in Central America.
Oh, Bond, you rascally bastard.
Dog, you! Digging bullet fragments out of his arm with a knife all by himself because
What a
fuck
badass.
doctors. Bond discovers they belong to a special type of bullet only used by a select few people, and tracks the baddie Patrice down to Shanghai, where the man attempts a hit on an unknown businessman who just wanted to buy some art, I guess.
And we'd never learn who he was or why he was there.
Because he succeeds!
Yeah!
He definitely kills that guy, and Bond witnesses. A fight ensues. Patrice dies, witnessed by a sexy, backless-dressed woman. Bond follows the trail of breadcrumbs and poker chips to Macau.
Yes.
Which is not only the most fun city to say, Macau.
Yes, everyone say it now.
Macau.
Wherever you are, doesn't matter.
Macau.
Fantastic.
There he meets the sexy, backless-dressed woman who is revealed to be a former child sex slave, who now works for Patrice's employer, the mysterious baddie at the middle of all things. He meets the mysterious baddie, named Silva, on a deserted island, and we learn he used to be another 00 agent,
Ba-dum-bum.
who has beef with M for giving him up.
So much beef.
He's since moved into cyber terrorism, and is doing quite well for himself.
He's doing quite well.
Keeping trim, living simply, and eliminating anything extraneous, like the sexy, backless-dressed former child sex slave lady, who he uses as a target for an innocent little game of shoot the shot glass off the lady's head. Bond shoots first, that's right, and misses on purpose? Who knows?
Who knows?
Silva shoots the kill, at which point Bond reacts by saying, "What a waste of good scotch,"
Our hero, everyone.
and proceeds to kill everyone with ease.
He did this without a bullet in the gun that he already had. So imagine if he had a gun in his hand that had an actual bullet in it.
MI6 operatives show up and Silva is placed in a holding cell. In yet another Joker-esque Loki con I meant to get caught plot, Silva soon escapes, having hacked into the MI6 computers with his laptop, which Q brilliantly plugged into the main servers.
So nice of him to do that
Yes,
for
it
him.
was very
I
nice.
was like, I'll just plug this. I won't check it, of course, because I'm so smart, and oh shit.
Bond realizes Silva's heading for M's hearing against the Parliamentary Disciplinary Committee.
And he called all the other backup agents. He called all of the cops to get there ahead of time. That happened, right?
He gets there too late.
Oh, okay.
But everything is still okay. Silva retreats, and Bond takes M to a place Silva can't find, but leaves a trail of breadcrumbs so
that
he will.
Can find it.
Bond's childhood home of Skyfall.
Skyfall. What is it,
What
Todd?
is Skyfall?
What could it be?
Is it something really important?
Was it his sled as a child?
Is it? No.
It's just a
It's
house?
just where he grew up, apparently. M is shot. Silva has her cornered, but Bond saves the day at the last minute by stabbing Silva
In the back.
in the back.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Hero! Final showdown! Stab in the back.
M dies.
Oh.
Mallory takes her place and keeps the initial.
Oh, very convenient.
The mysteriously familiar female is revealed to be none other than Moneypenny,
Nobody saw that coming!
and the franchise is now fully rebooted, but not really, but also really.
Really. Skyfall, everyone!
Skyfall.
Alright, guys, that'll take us right into our punch-up.
Punch up. And And that's the sound of the thing that you'd probably want to do to us now.
Yeah, probably.
Because we're punching up Skyfall, which is...
a film that everyone loved.
Everybody loves this movie. And you know what? The thing is that we do too, kind of.
Really enjoy this film.
Skyfall is an awesome Bond film.
And just like with most of our punch-ups, we start off with the things we like. And guys, there are a lot of things to like about Skyfall.
So many things.
First off, the film is beautiful.
It is one of the greatest looking Bonds. You know what? Screw that. It's the best looking Bond that's ever existed.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, the Macau scene.
It's a gorgeous looking movie. So
Ralph Fiennes is a joy in
Yeah.
this film. The man just...
You know, he's been a joy the last, few films. I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of Grand Budapest.
I love Ralph Fiennes in Grand Budapest.
He was, you talk about a joy. So I'm very much looking forward to Spectre.
This movie really lined up some really interesting groundwork and finally kind of set our pieces in place from what we know the traditional Bond. We've
That's
got
right.
Moneypenny, and they did some nice winks to that throughout the film. They telegraphed it a little bit, but it was nice to kind of round out at the end. Yes, she is Moneypenny.
That's right. We got a new Q in Ben Whishaw, who I
is
love.
Great.
This was the farewell of Judi Dench.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought they did a really amazing job in the handling of her passing.
Yeah, it was-
just passing the torch, passing on her life, etc.
And it was a great send-off.
It's a great send-off for her, and she has been a beloved M.
So why are we here?
Yes.
Why are we here to punch up this film? What was wrong? So we've got a couple things. First at the top, for me, one of the things that really bothered me about this film was the treatment of the women in the film.
Oh, God, yes.
Now, right away, the first response... It's a Bond film. It's Bond girls. It's how it's done, Jay. You're an idiot. You don't understand. I get it.
Thus is the popular... yeah.
response to anything like that. I get it. Great. I understand the Bond
It's a
films.
time and place kind of
I
thing.
understand
We
the
all
Bond
understand,
girls.
sure.
We get it. But the scenes with Bond made me not like him with some of these characters.
And that's the main problem.
That's
is
the
that,
biggest problem.
That's the main difference. And unless you're dealing with that, unless that's part of the story, where Bond's going through a little bit of a rough time, dark period, and you kind of are not supposed to like him or something. But that's not the case. That's
And
not what we have here.
Let's lay out some of these scenes, and just as a test, if you still feel like we're wrong here,
Yeah.
I want you to rewatch these scenes with a group of friends, and after these moments end, I want you to turn to your friends and go, "Oh, that Bond," and wink at them, and see what their facial response to that is.
Yeah.
First option, we've got Moneypenny, or soon-to-be Moneypenny by the end of the film. I guess she's always Moneypenny, we just don't know.
Yeah, right.
So Moneypenny, throughout the film, Bond, after getting shot by her, which, sure, he'd have some gripes about, but it's line of duty, it's what happened.
Yeah, they
She
have
was
a little
right?
playful banter. He gives us some shit for it. Right?
We move on.
But then he just digs in his heels a little bit and says a line where he goes, not everyone is cut out for field work, he says, which leaves her a little bit dick.
Yeah.
And then later, we get these moments where she's back in the field, doing fine, by the way.
as it's supposed to be.
She picks up a gun, she's shooting at some
She
people
saves
or whatever.
his life from, dragon monsters
She
in a pit.
saves a few people. She does things. She's totally fit for duty and totally fine. And then towards the end of the film, for no reason, after M has died and all these things, Moneypenny comes out and she goes, "You're right. Some of us just aren't cut out for duty. I'm going to take a secretary job with the new M, who happens to be a man."
Yeah.
And it's just oh, so wait, we didn't, if there was a moment where we saw her terrified or unfit for duty because of something that the villain did or a situation that she was put in that compromised what she thought she could handle, then that last line would make so much sense.
And it would be earned.
Yeah, some people aren't meant for field duty. Okay, yes, that's true. Except that's not the case. So what it really makes it look like is that the thing that Bond just dropped on her as a bomb in the beginning of the movie, she just mulled over for a while and then is just
ate away at her.
yeah, you know what?
It's more like Bond
think you're right.
splaining. It's like, oh yeah.
Splaining.
It's more like, yes, you see, you finally figured it out. You do belong behind a desk, not like me, James Bond, who does everything totally right.
Okay, so if you're still not convinced, here's a more egregious one,
Here's
okay?
the other example.
This is the one that is so bothersome.
So we've got our other Bond girl for the film. I forget her name. Did she was given a name?
I think she has a name that's explicitly
Anyways,
said in
that
the
aside, She is the kind of femme fatale character that Bond meets in...
Sexy, backless, dressed, former child sex slave.
Yep,
lady.
that he meets in where, Todd?
Macau!
He meets Macau. So he meets her in Macau, and there, after revealing her sex slaveness, Bond...
Actually, he
sorts it out. That's
yeah.
right. It's not a surprise to him. So then later, he meets up with her in the shower?
Yeah.
That's his entrance?
which
I'm here.
Truth be told, would be a nice little Bond moment, and that's fine if she hadn't in the previous scene revealed to us that she's a former child sex slave.
Yep.
And that this was extraordinarily troublesome to her. She's traumatized because of it, and Bond says he'll help save her.
Right. Now, if you think this is still the moment we were going to reference, no. It comes later. Bond goes to the island, he meets Silva, then we have this little bit of competition. Bond is taken out into a courtyard. The female femme fatale, the other Bond girl, is set up at the end of the courtyard. It looks like she's been beaten up.
Yeah.
Like, really roughed up.
Yeah,
and we're
she's been
thinking,
beaten.
like, Bond, you've got to save her, right?
Well, you know what? He'll save her now.
He's going to save her now. They hand him a gun. They set her up. She's got a little shot glass of Macallan. Bond raises his
Silva,
pistol.
this is a game with Silva. He wants to see if
Silva
Bond,
knows that Bond didn't pass his physical exams. Like,
Right.
he can't shoot straight, technically.
Right.
So this is a challenge to be like, Bond, you can't do this, right? You can't save her. She's going to die. Maybe you'll shoot her. Maybe I'll shoot her. Whatever. So Bond raises his gun,
falters a little bit.
doesn't fire.
Silva insults him by calling him a bit of a chicken and like, oh, isn't there any of the old Bond left in you? To which Bond responds by shooting the first bullet at the woman.
And misses.
And misses her, but could have hit her.
Could have hit her.
Easily could have hit her.
And then Silva goes, huh. And then without doing anything, watches Silva pull up his gun and just shoot her and kills her.
Silva kills her, turns to Bond and says, I win. Now what do you think about that? To which Bond replies, damn waste of a good scotch.
And then proceeds to kill the rest of the guards and save the day. He does this after Silva kills her, and his line is, you wasted scotch? He just executed this woman you said you were gonna save.
Unbelievable for your protagonist of a film to do something like this. This is a really bad moment for a protagonist,
again,
for you to still believe in.
If you'd like to run this test, gather some friends, play this scene. As soon as he says, that was a damn waste of scotch,
and then
pause
kills
it,
everybody.
And then turn to everyone, and then go, oh, Bond, and then wink, and then see what their response is. So, probably one of my bigger problems with the film. So,
Yeah.
Todd, what was one of your problems?
Well, I'd say the villain. Now, we forgot to say this in the positives. Javier Bardem's entrance in this movie, in my opinion, is one of the greatest villain entrances in cinema history.
It is so good.
It
The
is-
monologue is amazing.
The monologue, the shot, the
timing.
The timing of it. He takes the entire hallway to walk all up. That is the greatest, just one of the greatest and most memorable entrances I've ever seen, with an incredible monologue that's like, what does he want? What's going on?
I am in all the way.
100%. So I love the villain's entrance. Now, the villain himself and his plan and his connection to Bond and to M, these things I have trouble with. First of all, let's start with just his demonstration of evil. We've seen MI6 blow up.
Like, we've got this explosion that happens in the distance. We don't know who's in there. How
Yeah.
many people are in there? We
Right.
see some coffins, but that's it. Like, who are those people? Was that significant? Even later on when they're explaining how it happened, forever. I've seen this film a bunch of times. Until just now, just recently in my last watching of this film, I thought that he had set, bombs in there.
Right.
And
Because it blows up.
In a short car drive, some guy, for 5 seconds goes yeah, it was weird. He released, gas into the building and the servers, and things exploded. And I was like, wait, it was all done just remotely from, a computer?
Releasing gas into the building, making the gas catch on
It's
fire
never
from a
really
computer?
well
That would be,
explained.
where's that scene?
Exactly, that's terrifying. That means, and sure, they nail it in later, I can destroy an entire economy with a keystroke, but we don't see it. We're just told.
Show me.
Show me.
Show me.
Yes.
You always need a demonstration of evil from your villain.
Silva's power almost decreases as the film goes on.
Yeah.
We he's the scary person that got an MI6, and he knows all our stuff. He's got all these secrets. And then we get to the island, and he's got a great entrance, and then he's captured, and then his plan is to sneak through the subway tunnels. And even so, when he finally arrives at this courtroom or wherever they are to kill her, he's there with 2 guys, and they fire a couple bullets, and he misses. He shoots a bunch of other people, and then Bond and them come in and get her out, and it's
Pretty bad plan.
plan is super bad, man. Like, such a weak plan. And that's what's really weird. This character reads from the moment we first meet him. And even later in the film, he oozes theatricality. Even Bond, when he's in Skyfall and he shows up in his helicopter and he's playing music like boom, 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 ba-dum, dum, like he's playing the music as he comes in. Even Bond says, always got to make an entrance.
Yeah.
That's true. This character oozes theatricality, but in the scene he's going to kill M in, he shows up in like a cop uniform with a gun and starts firing. Like,
He just walks in.
where's the theatricality?
Yeah.
This is his big moment. He's blown up buildings. He's deserted entire islands. He came down in an elevator in a room and messed with Bond. Like, he does all these crazy, elaborate things. He shot at the femme fatale with these old musket guns, and he shows up with just a Colt and a police uniform. Like,
It just walks in the door.
so weird.
Even though the villain seems like he's an excellent villain, because Javier Bardem is one of the best actors we have. His entrance into the film is one of the greatest marriages of like direction and acting and cinematography, etc. that has happened in a Bond film / any film ever. Because he looks like this and sounds like this and is introduced in this way, it seems as if he is a really great villain. Unfortunately, a lot of it just doesn't add up.
Yeah, and a lot of this kind of flows into our last big problem and how the villain didn't really integrate in the whole rest of the story, which comes to a bigger question.
Yeah.
What was the arc of the film? What was Bond's arc? How did it all add up?
What was
and
the story here?
Yeah.
The movie's called Skyfall.
Skyfall. Even a scene where they're doing word association, man provocateur, woman provocatrix, or whatever he says, and then he says Skyfall, and we see Bond's face just confused, sad, these mixed emotions, so much that we've seen in Bond's face ever before. We even see M watching in from a window or this two-way mirror, even her face like, oh man, we might have gone too far with this. Bond storms out, he says done, and he leaves, and we're like, oh my god, Skyfall, the title of the movie, what is Skyfall?
Skyfall must be very important.
Oh my god, when we see it or know about the person or the place, whatever it is, my god, it's going to be huge, and it's
It's a big house.
a big house that he used to live in.
Is it something else? Did we miss something?
No.
Is it because what happened in the big house? Well, we know he's an orphan, but maybe something terrible happened in the house.
Happened in this house.
No, we just find out that his parents died.
parents died.
Which we already knew.
And like the old man
he lived
who's
in
like
the house.
the caretaker, like says it very casually, is like, yeah, he was, when his parents died, he hid down in this basement for a little while. Anyways, let me show you the rest of the house. It's just like, wait, isn't that supposed to be like an emotional reveal?
His parents died, and he was orphaned at a young age. Am I missing something? Was there a bigger?
But like,
thing
what about?
that
Was there like a torture chamber in this room, or like did like his grandmother die in the living room?
Is there something about the parents that we need to know, or
something?
We're just gonna blow past that.
No, we're just gonna do Home Alone now. Okay, all right, that's fine.
So this is problematic because we've got this title of film and this through line where they keep mentioning Skyfall, and we think Bond effectively dies and is wounded, his pride is hurt, and there's a lot of arcs that begin and don't necessarily come to fruition. Is the movie about a man who is fallen and he has to pick himself back up? Is the movie about a man who has a dark past and he's been trying to hide it all these years, and suddenly like a recent wound or injury or traumatic experience is bringing up all these things again? What's the through line? What's the theme? Why Skyfall? And what is the major thrust and arc of this movie?
So that's where we're kind of left with that big question, and that was kind of one of our biggest issues. And I think this is going to take us right into the punch-up.
I'll tell you what I like. I love the story of Silva being a former double agent and M betraying him. This is a really great opening sequence, I think. So take this whole scene where, quote-unquote, Bond or a double agent is chasing after this person and gets shot and all this kind of stuff. Maybe replace that entire scene or something very similar to it with Silva. And let's say maybe we don't even see him the whole time. The movie already opens on an out-of-focus Bond. What if we continued that and we just don't even see the face of our Bond, very much like Indiana Jones, where we don't see his face for
he puts
a
on the
while.
hat and we know.
Yeah, and like we get this double agent. We're like, oh, James Bond is like at it again, and he's like, doing stuff, and all this kind of stuff. We see M communicating with him, but then she sells him out essentially.
Yeah,
she has to because of her own personal reasons, and
now we start the film with a little empathy for our villain.
There you go,
which makes those conversations later on really interesting.
Cut to MI5, and they're like, well, it had to be done. Oh, what's going on over there? Few new recruits, don't you worry about it. One of them's an orphan. Orphans always make the best recruits. That line's in Skyfall already. That's a way to introduce that, like, oh, that was James Bond's first day. And then we cut to the future now, the present day. James Bond is James Bond.
The James Bond we know. And by the way, that works really well for a movie that ends with almost rebooting the series again, because this is like taking place right before Casino Royale, which was supposed to be the reboot of this series. So it's almost like completing that cycle full circle.
Completes that like arc. And then, that allows you to do quite a number of things.
So some of those things you could do is, as we enter in on James Bond again, we've got him doing his James Bonding suave, he's got everything covered, but we have an attack. We have an attack on London, or we have an attack on MI6. Whatever it is, it's personal, it's close. We spend at least 10 to 15 minutes going through it, and it's bad.
It's terrifying.
And the thing is, we don't know who the attacker is. We have bombs going off, we have chaos going all over the streets. James Bond is trying to navigate it, doing his standard James Bonding.
Bond's got his Walther PPK, he's got his, womanizing ways, he's got his, charm, his devilish charm, and his just knack for using the all the gadgets that Q gives him just in the nick of time and saving all these things and dodging all the bullets. Except in this case,
he can't cut it.
Because there seems to be someone that is 2 steps ahead of him. Every single choice he tries to make, it's almost as if someone's watching him.
And this is the scene where we see Bond lose fellow comrades, we see him lose fellow agents, and we also see Bond almost die. This is the scene where when the film opened, he gets shot by Moneypenny, he falls off the, thing, and we think he's dead. This is where you break Bond. You break Bond,
right.
But you break him through this mysterious villain. This villain has a direct hand in this action, and it's very deliberate, and it's very much on purpose.
Bond is helpless at the end of this attack that happens, this massive attack on London.
And it's not just random, guys and these goons in suits and stuff. It is this kind of cyber attack.
It's like an invisible force.
And it's this thing that really kind of creeps up on Bond throughout the film, and we see it a little bit in Skyfall, is that he's a little bit of this old dog. And this old dog that can't learn new tricks, and is this world that he's still living in, is this still his same world? And can Bond still exist here? And that's a little bit what's already in the undertone of the film, but now we're bringing Silva, which will eventually be revealed as the one who's involved with this, as more of the opening of this problem. He is a direct response to the arc that Bond goes through in this film, and also right away we empathize with him because of this heartbreaking scene we see at the front that puts M in this kind of darker light. So now we move farther into the film.
He's wounded, both emotionally and physically.
And I like that M is still there to be like, even though he fails, she's like, no, he passed, he's fine. And I love the scenes with Mallory. Keep all that stuff. That stuff is really
totally
great.
Yeah.
Maybe lose the stuff about telling Moneypenny that she should be on her desk
go back
job
in the kitchen.
and that kind of stuff. But, oh God.
Go back into
rework that however you want to do it. Give her some struggles of her own. Maybe she comes to that conclusion herself, not Bond doing it. Anyways,
we still have this moment, so that we still get this moment where he's asked about Skyfall, and so we keep building this thing about like what's going on in his past.
What's going on with Skyfall? Then from there, we still follow some of the beats of the film. However, we meet up with Silva. I mean, keep that entrance. My God, that entrance is great.
Please.
Maybe have Bond try to save the femme fatale. She gets away, whatever it is.
That is nice. And maybe a little more sympathetic. And there's something, there's that scene in this movie, Skyfall, where she's like, "What do you know about fear?" And he responds, "All there is."
And there's some tweaks to this scene I think you can make, and some beats to remember before we get to the end of this punch-up. One, Bond's response there, "All there is." He kind of just delivers it like, yeah, all there is. I just know all the fear.
In the movie that exists now, that never goes anywhere.
Yeah.
We just assume that he means all the times when he's gleefully evaded death.
But this, I want to hold on 2 lines said in this scene. One, where Bond says, "All there is," but mean it. Really mean it.
Yeah, right.
And I want him to also mean the line when he says, when she looks very upset and she looks a little bit frazzled, and he says, "Oh, like you're running," he's like keeping you're a sex slave, and she's almost like, "How do you know that?" And he's like, "I know when a woman is afraid and she's trying to hide it." So this is something that he says not as just an offhand, like, I just know things.
Are you going with...
Oh, I'm going somewhere with this.
Okay.
So this
I know where you're headed.
This scene is not just a passerby, like,
Yes.
ooh, look at them
Yes.
titter-tat for conversation. This is very important.
Yes.
So we're going to come back this a little bit later. So
we're building something here, I'm assuming, right?
yes, we're digging into a little bit of Bond's past
Yeah,
here.
something happened in his past.
Meanwhile, we jump back into the plot. We've got Silva comes back in. He orchestrates this attack
We
again.
recognize him from the beginning.
Right.
And we're like, oh my god, it's that guy from the beginning. Of course, we knew he was coming, but that's
and now
okay.
we have a little bit more of a relation as to why he's got this vendetta against M, because we saw it.
He reveals that he did the attack on London, and he did it just with a tap of a keystroke. He reveals all these things, and Bond at this moment, this is the man that terrified him and broke him. In a way, I think this is like one of the first Bond villains that maybe Bond is like outmatched. Maybe Bond is scared of this villain.
This is the first time where he has some of these old feelings come back. So as we get a little
I like this.
as we get a little bit farther,
It's fucked up, but I like it.
This is a really messed up version, but it's
Hey, if you're gonna go there,
you're gonna do a different direction,
Exactly.
If you're not gonna do the Octopussy and the lasers and the jaw guys and the guys who throws hats,
And if you're going to promise that there's some deep, dark secret in Bond's past, it better
you
be
better
pretty deep
deliver
and
on
pretty
it
dark.
instead of just an old house with an old man that lives nearby. Like, that's it.
I'm Albert Finney.
Because here's the thing. This is Bond.
Yes.
This is cool as shit.
This is 30 movies in the biggest film franchise ever.
This is Bond who jumps off of a cat that just ripped off the back of a train, fixes his clothes, and just walks on with a bullet wound in his shoulder.
That's right.
This man does not miss a stride, and a word called Skyfall ruffles his feathers to a point where he's shaken and he has to leave a room.
Yes.
You better deliver on this.
That's right.
Especially, you better deliver also on a villain that says, you don't know fear like him, right?
That's right.
So we need some bigger payoffs here. So as we're coming to the end, some things that happen. First off, this selection of a location of Skyfall is not made by Bond. This location is selected by Silva. Because as we get closer to the end, Bond is, toe-to-toe with Silva, but Silva's not done with Bond yet. He's pulling him through this game for a reason. Silva not only has a vendetta with M, but Silva also has a vendetta with Bond. Bond is the new favorite son.
Right.
And he has to break Bond and has to take away as much as he's taken away from M, as much as M took away from him.
And to make Bond see M in the way that Silva sees M.
Exactly.
So to put Bond in a situation where M is going to have to compromise him.
Exactly.
That's a great scene. So that there's some scene where basically like the exact same situation, Silva manufactures an identical situation to the beginning where he was left for dead and makes M have to, quote unquote, take the shot against Bond. Does M do it? Does M not do it? I think you have to have her not.
M has chosen.
She's
M
learned.
has chosen not to throw Bond away. She decided that Bond is the chosen Bond, essentially. And at this point, we get a really nice reveal of Silva was not only a previous double agent, Silva was the original 007.
Oh.
That would be a really great reveal of not only why is Vendetta with Bond, not only because he's the favorite, because he was the original 00. And the big thing about this whole arc, right? What is the arc of Bond? What is the arc of the villain? How does Bond beat the villain? Because you have to have Bond beat the villain, and it has to be something innate. It can't just be Bond learns how to hack at the last minute, right? What's the difference between Silva and Bond? Silva has pushed this entire film. The reason why he is superior is because of his cybernetic technology, right? He can hack into anything. He has all the information at his fingertips, and Bond is just old dog.
And what does Bond have? Bond is old school street smarts.
Street smarts, suave. He's a good fighter. He's got all that rough and tumble old spy guy. But
that's right.
How does that win him at the end of the day? Well, that's what brings us to our final showdown here. Our final showdown, Silva has selected as Skyfall. And here's the thing. Here's the big difference. Silva knew about Skyfall. He's got access to files. He knew that Bond, grew up here, that he left here. And Silva wants this to take place at Skyfall because he's like, Bond, this was your old childhood home. I want to take away, any of your past stuff. I want to, destroy you in a place that maybe you've revered, that you've remembered. You still own this property. There's a caretaker that comes by and takes care of it. Like, I know this means something to you, so I'm going to take this from you. So this is where we have the flip. This is where we reveal a big key point for Bond, and we also reveal the big difference between the two of them. Silva is all technology. He's all cold, he's all knowledge, and that's the difference between Silva and Bond. Silva's out of practice. He's been behind a computer screen for these last few years. Hasn't been in the field. He doesn't know people at a level, and he thinks Bond's coming to Skyfall because Skyfall is a precious place to him, a place of childhood that he remembers.
And a place that no one else would ever know.
Exactly.
And that's why, and Silva's like, but I do. And it's a place where he had his last like moment of innocence, because his parents were orphaned, and then right directly after that he went off and became a 00 agent, or was recruited by the MI6.
But is in fact revealed, and this is something that I think you could have really done,
we're
where they had the lines here, is that Bond absolutely hates Skyfall. This is a place of like darkness, of real fear. When Bond says, I know all there is, this is a place of like deep, dark stuff for Bond.
This is a haunted house.
This is a haunted house for him. So when he comes back,
bad things happened in this
Silva
place.
thinks like, oh, haha, I'm going to destroy this beautiful place. I'm going to kill M here. This is going to be a great... Because he is theatrical. Throughout this movie, he has shown that he is theatrical. Why not do it in Bond's childhood home? You are the other brother. You're the other child. I'm going to kill you in the childhood home.
And he's like killing the mom again.
And he's killing the mom again.
Yeah.
Here is where it all comes around, guys.
Yeah.
Especially, I remember the other line, call back to the scene where he says, I know when a woman is afraid and she doesn't want to show it. This is where we put in that maybe Bond's father was not the best guy in the world.
A monster.
A monster. A monster of a man.
Let's say he abused Bond's mother.
Maybe he abused Bond.
He abused Bond.
And I would say go as far as Bond's mother had died here.
Oh, yeah.
Bond's mother died in this house. This house is a monster.
And then Bond, who wanted to kill the father...
He couldn't. But that's the thing. Another reason why he would go in to be a spy. He wants to become stronger, faster. And another reason why he has such a detachment from women. All these things stemming from his past here at Skyfall that he comes head-to-head with, fighting he's the first 007, so kind of like a fatherly type figure to protect the mother, to protect M. So finally we have this scene, this buildup of gravitas that Skyfall actually means something, and Bond can come here and beat Silva and save M and save his quote-unquote mother. He has a chance
and
again.
Kill his quote-unquote father.
And kill his quote-unquote father and actually win. Sure, M still dies at the end, but there still might be a nice moment where he can say goodbye.
Yeah, right. He never got to say goodbye to his mom. So, here's this scene where they're outside. M realized... In you, Bond, I realized the importance of my agents and why they're important to me and why you should save them.
Exactly.
And she gives this last moment of redemption. Bond, watches her die. She says, I'm sorry about your house or something. And he goes, I always hated this place anyway.
And that's the thing. This series of Bond with Daniel Craig has been plagued with a very heavy-hearted Bond. Since Casino Royale and kind of losing his first love,
right.
Quantum of Solace, getting over that, and then Skyfall revisiting his past, he's been this very heavy-hearted, holding a lot of burden on him for these last few movies. Now we can
But with the exception of Vespa, we don't really get exactly why he has such a heavy heart.
Right. And now we can have this catharsis. We can have this moment where Bond kind of can finally get over this. Especially this, he calls it out, what's your skill, right? Resurrection.
There you go.
He is the Phoenix, he has come back, he has been reborn, and now that final scene when he's there with them saying, are you ready to get to work? He's like, fuck yeah, let's do this shit.
Let's do Bond stuff, guy.
And guys, that is the punch-up for Skyfall. All right, so that's going to take us into our game segment, Blockbuster Smash-Up.
Smash, 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 smash,
Smash, smash, smash, and that'll be in the new opening credits for Spectre coming this year.
Is that the new theme song?
Yeah, that's going to be the new theme song
I
for
didn't
Spectre.
know. Congratulations to us, I suppose.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, wow,
Pat
great.
ourselves on the back.
Take that, Adele.
Ooh, what do you think? What do you think is going to be in the background for our opening? This one it had knives
probably
making gravestones and
giant
blood.
hulks that are just
Giant hulks.
Yeah, just smashing buildings.
Exactly. A lot of cucumber men just dancing. And instead of a woman, it'll be a sexy cucumber man. His silhouette in the background as it floats. So, guys, let's dive into the Smash-Up. So, as our Smash-Up always goes, Todd and I will come prepared with one film. Either one of us does not know what the other one is going to say. One will be a globally accepted bad film and one will be a globally accepted good film. Todd, this episode, has the bad film and I have the good film.
Yes.
So on the count of 3, we will say them and smash them together forever. You cannot change this. They are one film now. Sorry. Here we go on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Pan's
Super
Labyrinth.
Mario Brothers, the movie.
Oh my god. You know what's amazing is this actually lends well to Pan's Labyrinth is my pick.
Oh, interesting. So
Yeah.
we got an underworld.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this is
okay.
Really weird.
So,
For anyone who hasn't seen Super Mario Brothers, the movie, you're welcome.
so
Congratulations.
I have a hard time.
I know. This is like one, I can tell on your face, this is one of those like, I know it's bad, but...
I love this movie, and I have just recently recognized fully
That you have a problem, I know.
how fucking terrible it is. Because it really is bad. Like, I've
really
always watched
bad.
it from the beginning to end, and
But
just...
it has John Leguizamo. How can it be this
John
bad?
Leguizamo, Bob Hoskins, Dennis Hopper. This movie has a lot of great people in it. I love the character. I mean, the people in it are really cool. It's my beloved Mario Brothers who play actual plumbers in this movie.
Yep, they're actually plumbers.
Who are led to an underground world where it's kind of a prehistoric world where there's like, it's like this basically alternate dimension.
Yeah.
Where like dinosaurs exist and stuff.
And like Yoshi is a pet. Like, you
Yoshi
can have,
is like a little
pet
velociraptor,
dinosaur.
and
The Goombas are like de-evolutionized men.
that's right. Basically, King Koopa, who is Dennis Hopper, plays this deliciously evil, like crazy, stupid lizard man, because it's like people's DNA is like spliced with like, you know, prehistoric time kind of things. Because
Yeah,
it's
it's
like
really weird.
it's like underground in the middle
It's
of
like
the
if
earth. kind
Blade
of
Runner
deal.
had dinosaurs, basically.
That's kind of like what it is. And basically, like, they're led down there. There's like Princess Daisy is like the princess of the king that used to exist before King Koopa came around, the Dennis Hopper character, whose plan is to merge the universes and dehumanize all of the people by de-evolutionizing them into back into lizards and then taking over Earth. That's his, you know, grand plan, which is foiled, of course, by a
Two
fat
plumbers.
and skinny plumber named Mario and
they do this with like
Mario,
rocket boots.
By the way, Mario and Luigi. I think it's
it's Mario and
no,
Luigi
it's the it's Mario Brothers. Yeah, so Mario and Luigi Mario.
That's right. Mario was named Mario twice. Mario. Amazing.
It's an absurd movie. I happen to really, really enjoy it. I love the film.
So that is Super Mario Brothers. My pick, Pan's Labyrinth. If you haven't seen this,
Great movie.
Film directed by Guillermo del Toro. You might know him more commonly from Pacific Rim, which was our first punch-up. Hellboy, and a new film coming up called Crimson Peak, which actually looks amazing.
Yeah.
But Guillermo del Toro is known for doing these beautiful, imaginative films, and Pan's Labyrinth, oh boy, is it amazing. This film, it's entirely in Spanish, but you can watch it. It's got subtitles. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
You can read.
So the film is essentially about a little girl that goes to meet her new stepfather. Her mother has remarried, and this new stepfather is a captain in a war. And he is the villain of the film. And he is ruthless, and he is terrible. He is an amazing villain entrance. He's one of my favorites. It's very subtle. But the first time we meet him, he's standing waiting for his new stepdaughter and his new wife to arrive, and he's standing there, and this is the first thing he says in the film. He looks at his watch and he goes, as their car rolls up, he thinks, 5 minutes late. That's the first thing he thinks when he's meeting his new wife and new stepdaughter is, they're 5 minutes late. Immediately we understand exactly what this guy is all about, and it's amazing. The rest of the film has these beautiful imaginative visuals as this girl starts to dip into her own kind of fairy tale retelling while she's on these grounds with all these military people. She's meeting scary monsters. She's meeting this satyr, this kind of guide who calls himself Pan. He's this very crazy, weird, like kind of half wooden, half elf-like creature.
Yeah, and essentially they're trying to beckon her to be the princess of the underworld.
Right. It's her kind of dipping into this fairy tale more and more.
And is it real?
Is it not real? The film plays it very close. Like, it could be, it could not be.
Or his comrades. Like, what is it? And the film sort of toys with that. Great movie.
And the cinematics, everything is very, very well done. Guys, I highly recommend checking it out. But we're not here to tell you about Pan's Labyrinth or Super Mario Brothers. We're here to make this one movie.
Gosh.
So what is this film?
Princess Daisy is the little girl.
Okay, so she arrives at this camp The captain is there.
Okay.
And she...
Captain Koopa.
Captain Koopa.
Yeah.
And the only friends she makes there are these two plumbers that work in the place that are like fixing the plumbing.
They're like the maintenance guys from the camp.
She gets along with them. And
The Mario Brothers.
Exactly. The Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
Randomly. And as they're there working around, she starts to kind of like work them into her fairy tale. Because they kind of help her out of these like situations. They're small. They're very like, she was locked in her room for doing something bad.
Maintenance problems.
Maintenance works. Oh yeah, this doorknob was unhinged.
Her toilet's plugged up, so she needs help from here come the Mario Brothers, and they help her out.
And as this revolution is going on around them, the Mario Brothers end up being actually infiltrators. They're actually from the revolution who are there to actually take down the captain. And as the story unfolds, Princess Daisy starts to see it like Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, she starts having fantasies where basically like King Koopa or Captain Koopa is this evil lizard-like man. Maybe she's told of a story by the Mario Brothers about the lizard people who exist on the planet.
Yeah,
and by the way, there are lizard people.
There are lizard kings of us all.
And basically she starts imagining that that like all the bad people are all these like kind of like lizard people, and there's this dark underworld of like political intrigue that renders itself in another dimension, and she's there with her happiness and childhood like innocence to save this world with the help of the Mario Brothers.
And by the way, the fawn in this example, the Pan character, is totally Toadstool. It's like a little mushroom man that talks to her.
That talks to her and is just like
She's basically Beaker from. He's basically Beaker from. The
so
Muppets.
It's the giant mushroom.
Yep.
Keeps talking to her.
Yep. Because
it's kind of a trippy film.
It's a pretty trippy film.
Yeah.
And the Mario Brothers.
Mario Brothers are hitting the pipe.
Yep. They're hitting those question mark blocks. What it is they're trying to break through the bricks in a certain room. They pretend to be maintenance guys, but they're trying to break through these. I'm not making this analogy work very well.
Captain Koopa at one point captures her, puts her in a room that she has to be broken out of. This is akin to in this world, like that she's like in the castle and she has to be saved by the Mario Brothers.
Exactly, and they start jumping on everyone's head. It's gory.
There's
it's
power
violent.
boots. There's these power boots that show up somehow in the form of maybe they're just moon boots,
and even
like
so,
bounce shoes.
We can have like these little allegories to being like, oh, what are these flowers you're growing in the window? Like, they are my favorite.
It's fungus.
They are the fire flowers. The fire flowers. And then I'm scared. The Captain Koopa's gonna lock me up. It's like, do not worry. Take this. This star will keep you invincible. While you have this star, no one can harm you. This is basically a better version of Super Mario Brothers.
Kind of. It's actually a great. So Super Mario Brothers
so we can
as a allegorical retelling of a little girl. It's kind of like Alice in Wonderland with the Super Mario Brothers world.
And the Super Mario Brothers, these two brothers are actually there to help the revolution and actually help defeat Captain Koopa in real life. And the little girl helps them get closer and closer, maybe get them what they need. Since she is the stepdaughter, she can gain access to certain files of Captain Koopa and can pass that along to the Mario Brothers. And with her help and seeing this through imagination or whatever it is, we have the final epic battle between the Mario Brothers and Captain King Koopa, defeated by jumping on his head 3 times.
And with the help of they have a pet dog. Maybe he's from Japan. His name's Yoshi. And
these are some very eccentric plumbers.
If there's a revolution
plumbers
going on, maybe there's like a Japanese
with a Japanese dog.
Japanese dog.
I love it.
And basically, like she has the choice of continuing to live in this real world with all these like crazy things going on and real life things, or to remain in this fantasy land. And she chooses the fantasy land, i.e., to go completely delusional.
Yeah, go completely crazy. I mean, it's a very sad ending.
Well, it just depends on your opinion.
Depends on your opinion.
Because it's an art film, Jay.
It is an art film, that's
and
right.
It would
At the end of the day, Super Mario Brothers is absolutely an art film. We want to make sure that everyone takes that away from this specific episode.
It's satire, if you didn't understand. It's political satire. And it would be called...
What is this film called?
It'd be called Mario's Labyrinth.
Mario's Labyrinth.
Koopa's Labyrinth. Super
Mario Labyrinth.
Super Mario's Labyrinth.
All right, so that concludes episode 17 of Blockbuster Punch-Up and our review of Skyfall. We'll be posting a new episode every other week. please leave us a review or any comments on iTunes. It really helps people find the show. And if you'd like to download more episodes or check out other similar podcasts, head over to partialarc.com. That's arc with a C. Of course, you can email us any questions at blockbusterpunchup@gmail.com. Please follow us on Twitter and Instagram at partialarc, and you can follow Todd on Twitter and Instagram at TG11. Thanks for listening, and see you on the next episode of Blockbuster Punch-Up!
Let's go home.